Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Stoppage Time for Friday, September 19th, 2024. I am super excited today, one, because I'm wearing a sweatshirt because it is gloriously overcast and cool temperatures today here. Just a little hint of fall before we get some summery warm weather again next week. But I'm also stoked because I haven't worn this sweatshirt since last year, and I just love everything it stands for, right? Like love, empathy, compassion, inclusion, justice, and kindness. It's one of my favorite articles of clothing that I only get to wear when we have cool weather. So I am super excited. I am grateful to be here for you today. Gratitude has been the attitude all week this week, I gotta say. And the theme of this week's Stoppage Time sharing with you all is that it's all about the people. I've got this phrase that I've used for decades in the tech world where the tech world tends to be kind of product obsessed or process obsessed. Software people think like that, right? Everybody that invents a product or creates a new product or service thinks that it's the greatest thing of all time. And I've said for decades that I am basically people over product and process all the time, like 100 times out of 100. And that was what was on my mind this week, was just this idea of people. And it's been on my mind because of all the interviews that I've been doing this week with multiple new guests for future episodes that are coming up on Entrepreneurial Thinkers, the show. And I'm just constantly reminded in these conversations, one I had as recently as last night, how lucky I am. Like just how incredibly lucky I am to be surrounded by so many good, smart, kind, talented, aspirational, and earnest people. And how fortunate I am to not only know these people, to have access to some of these people that I don't yet know, that I meet for the first time, and then just to have a lot of these people be friends of mine. That I have so much love and respect for. It enriches my life, no matter the ups and downs of the entrepreneurial life or just life in general for all of us. It's just much fuller and much more rich when you're surrounded by really, really good people. And so that has been on my mind all week, no matter what else I've been thinking about. And it's manifested itself in essentially kind of three different ways. One, it starts right here at home with my team, with these two incredible young women that I get to work with for now almost 3 years. Deanna Bernal down in Mexico City, and AnnaPaula Tenorio, who's from Mexico City, and that's where we met, and that's where we all started on our journey, but now lives in Lisbon, Portugal. We wouldn't have anything. I wouldn't have any of what I have. I wouldn't have been able to continue to sustain and try to build upon and then shift away from the previous consulting business that we ran at Growth Hacks. I wouldn't have even had the audacity to believe that I could pivot the way that I'm pivoting now at this point in my life and try to build this media production business that we are with the Storytellers Company. Literally none of that is possible if not surrounded by good people, and the good people starts with these two because they put up with me on a daily basis. They deal with me. They're sometimes inspired by me. They encourage me. They love me back when I love them. We create together. We are creative together. We're iterating, we're ideating, we're brainstorming, we're solving problems, we're getting stuck behind problems sometimes together, sometimes separate from each other. But through it all, through thick and thin, as they say in American English, these two incredible young women are with me, right? It's coming up on 3 years now. I've watched them go from undergraduate university students finishing their degrees when we first met to then going on to graduate school and getting their master's degrees in different topics, different areas of study, and just becoming even better versions of themselves. I've watched them grow up. I've watched them struggle through just the normal travails of being in your early to mid 20s, let alone being in your early to mid 20s as a young woman in today's world. And it's just been such a pleasure. And they've enriched my life. They continue to enrich my life on a daily basis. I'm far from a perfect person. I'm a flawed human being with all my weaknesses and foibles and eccentricities, and hopefully positives and strengths and capabilities. And they live through it all. And they, as I say, some days they tolerate me and put up with me, and some days they lean into what we're doing. And the three of us just accomplish more than you could ever imagine that three people sprinkled across the world could come together to ever create together. So I'm super proud of us as a team, but I'm also just deeply grateful. So that's one place where it being all about the people kind of presents itself in my daily life. The second place is in the community of investors and supporters that are coming in now to participate in our WeFunder and our crowdfunding campaign to help me finance the Storytellers Company and our ambitions to expand upon the podcast success that we're having with Entrepreneurial Thinkers and with Stoppage Time, to expand upon the storytelling and take it into different mediums like books, like live events, come into your cities where we can gather the best entrepreneurial thinkers to talk about these big issues that we talk about on the show, that we can do it in person and build further community, like television and digital media storytelling, so we can tell the stories of people beyond just the famous, half dozen people that the whole world talks about every day ad nauseum. And so you supporters and investors, people in our community, are reminding me, kind of like on my worst days, on my most stressed days, I pop in there and I see that someone new has pledged an investment into our community round at WeFunder, and I'm just wow, okay, if they believe, right, like if that person believes in me, like we could do this, and then you just keep going, and you keep telling the story, and you keep inviting more good people, and so like I'm gratified, and again, I'm just so lucky and so blessed to be surrounded by you all, and so I thank you for that, and I invite you to bring more good people to our cause, to share in the upside, to make money on their money, but also to share in the journey of just creating a media business that tells better entrepreneurial stories, that tells better, more positive, more human-centered content in the business world about the rest of us, and not just about those kind of elite oligarchical few. But then the third group of people that just continually gratify me is, of course, our guests, as we call them, alumnus or alumni of our show, because they're so deeply integrated in what we stand for and what we talk about and the issues that we explore, that they're not just guests, right? And so Deanna and I just started calling them alumni a while back, and it's stuck, and now people are kind of attaching to it emotionally, and that makes them feel more important, because they are important. They should feel that more important, but it also starts to bind and tie together this community that Will Stringer, our lead investor, always talks about. He talks about it while interviewing me in a recent special episode that we did for you all, that's kind of the explainer podcast on the crowdfunding campaign, on the business model, on my vision for the Storytellers Company, which I would hope that you have enjoyed. And if you haven't, I encourage you to go watch it, listen to it, wherever you get your podcasts, in our feeds, because it tells you it gives you my whole thinking. And it also reinforces today's theme, right? How important people are in this journey. Just this week, like I've had conversations with episodes that we've released now in sequence, Miki Reynolds and Asher J. And I'm just lucky that I know these people, that I can call up them and say, hey, like, come on my show and let's talk about these things that you're really passionate about, that you're really focused on, that I'm really curious about. And they agree. That's a blessing, right? But beyond that, just the fact that there are people in the world that are so passionate about the things that these women are passionate about, and that are working on the things that they're working on. Thank God. As I told Asher J, I have more confidence in our ability to eventually slowly mitigate the effects of climate on our species as humans, on the species of animals that we're surrounded by on the planet, and our plant species. I have more confidence in that because I'm surrounded by someone like Asher, who I know wakes up and goes to bed every day and every night just obsessively thinking about these issues and these challenges. And then she puts herself into communities that I'm not in, into rooms I'm not in. And by extension, she is doing our work for us. And then you cut across town here in Los Angeles to South LA, and you talk to someone like Miki Reynolds, who's like the OG, incomparable entrepreneurial thinker in Los Angeles. And she helps us understand how deeply committed they are at Slauson & Company, her current firm, and in her own work to just diversifying venture capital and to putting more capital in the hands of more different types of entrepreneurs and different looking, sounding, background people in different neighborhoods around the country, because that's what's ultimately going to create the greatest ROI. And that is what's reflective of us as a species, right? And us as a society, is that we look a lot different than just people who look like me. So I'm inspired by that. I'm inspired by people like Melanie Jones, who challenge us to reach down and help maybe hire someone or bring someone up the ladder, maybe a little bit before they're ready, right? Give people the opportunity professionally, maybe before they're ready, and then help develop them into the people and the professionals, the executives that they can become. these three groups of people, starting with Deanna and AnnaPaula, secondarily with the community of you all, basically the people that watch and listen and enjoy this content or our social content that we post across all our channels, and then the people that I get to talk to every day. Obviously, on top of all that, in my personal life, just the fact that I'm surrounded by loving people like my daughter, my family, her partner Henry, they're about to be my grandson, my friends and family by choice, Jamie and Jeff and the girls, Gabby and Maddie, all the family down in Orange County, Amanda, their mom Marla, like all these people, my own family, biological blood family. That's out there on the East Coast. So just it literally is all about the people. Like at the end of the day, we're not going to, as you've always heard the saying goes, right? Like we're not going to worry about, did we work harder? We're not going to worry about did we put enough time in the office? We're going to worry about did we spend time with the people that matter most to us? Did we spend time learning and growing about others, about ourselves, right? Did we become more empathetic versions of ourselves? My aspiration is to end my life, sometime in my mid 80s, 30 years from now, the better, best version of myself than I was when I was born and when I was in my 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s, right? Because that's what we should all aspire to as people. And the way that we get there is by opening our minds and being curious about other people, right? Not othering others, but embracing others. So that's my thing this week. It's all about the people. In the spirit of that and in the spirit of just kind of the power that we have as individual people, I want to drop a book that I'm listening to right now. I'm enamored with the study and understanding of democracy in my country, in America. And there's a historic classic book that was released originally back in the mid 1830s by a young Frenchman at the time named Alexis de Tocqueville, and it was called Democracy in America. And it's a story about the burgeoning American democracy at that point, 60, 70 years old, as viewed from someone in post-revolutionary France who was trying to figure out, like, are these principles of independence and freedom, can they be applied to our world? And so in our political world that we're in right now, sometimes I like to tune out the day-to-day noise, and I like to go back into the archives of history and actually understand our present context by understanding how we got here. And to me, that is to listen to other people. And to listen and learn from the lessons that they share with us from our archival history of our species as humans. So I share that book with you today, de Tocqueville's Democracy in America. It's something that maybe everybody in any free democracy or aspiring democracy should read and listen to, like I am on my walk. So anyways, I love y'all. You know that. I'm here for you. I share these things every week on Stoppage Time because I believe in you and I'm grateful for you. So just, you are part of it's all about the people. In my world, and I wish you all the best joy, peace, happiness, encouragement, positive progress in your life, and maybe this week just a little bit of a call for you to realize the power that you have in, as we say in our American Constitution, kind of we the people. Your vote does matter, your voice does matter, your opinions do matter, your creative thoughts do matter, your business endeavors and ideas and products and services do matter, because ultimately it's just little bits of individuals of us that add up to create communities, and communities of individuals with like-minded ideas is what literally shapes how we become who we become as a society. So it's all about you. We'll see you next week.